What if one small change, something as simple as times you drink your coffee, could help lower your blood sugar without adding a single pill? Before you take your next sip tomorrow morning, there's something you need to understand, because for millions of older adults, that familiar cup of coffee is no longer just a comfort. It may be quietly working times against times their body. Every day, I meet people over 60 who believe they're doing everything right. They take their medication, they try to eat better, they go for short walks when they can, and almost all of them have one thing in common. They drink coffee every single day. But here's the uncomfortable truth: most of them are drinking it the Times wrong way. A simple morning habit, something that feels harmless, even healthy, may be silently pushing blood sugar higher day after day without them ever realizing it. No pain, no warning. Just numbers slowly climbing until one day it becomes a diagnosis. I'm Dr. Miller, and over the past several years, I've closely followed hundreds of patients living with prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, many of them in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. And what I'm about to share with you isn't theory. It's something I've seen unfold in real lives, real lab results, real transformations. Because coffee, believe it or not, is not the enemy. In fact, it can be a powerful ally for your metabolism, but only if you understand one critical detail: timing. The difference between helping your body stabilize blood sugar and unknowingly making it worse can come down to times, when times, and times, how times you drink that cup. And most people have never been told this. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, I'm going to show you the 3 golden moments to drink coffee, simple adjustments that cost nothing, require no special products, and could make a meaningful difference in how your body handles glucose starting today. Now, let's step back and look at the bigger picture, because what we're dealing with here is not just an individual problem, it's a silent epidemic. Over the past 2 decades, cases of type 2 diabetes have risen at an alarming rate across the world. But what concerns me most is what's happening among older adults. Today, nearly 1 in 3 people over the age of 65 is living with diabetes. Think about that for a moment. Look around your family, your friends, your neighbors. Statistically, 1 out of every 3 is affected. And that number doesn't even tell the full story. Because there is another group, much larger than most people realize, living right on the edge. These are people with elevated blood sugar levels, drifting slowly toward diabetes, often without knowing it. They haven't been diagnosed yet. They don't feel sick enough. So they continue their daily routines, unaware that something inside their body is quietly changing. This is why I call it a silent epidemic. The early signs are subtle, easy to ignore, easy to blame on aging or a busy day. Maybe you feel unusually tired after meals, as if your energy just disappears. Maybe you notice a constant thirst that never quite goes away, no matter how much water you drink, or that heavy, sleepy feeling in the afternoon when your body seems to shut down without warning. Individually, these symptoms don't seem alarming, but together, they tell a very important story. They are signals, early whispers from your body that your blood sugar is no longer under control. And here's the problem. Most people don't connect these signs to their daily habits. They think the solution is somewhere far away, in a new medication, a stricter diet, or something complicated. But in many cases, the trigger is much closer than they think. It's something they do every single day, without question, without hesitation, something that feels completely normal. And there is one habit, in particular, so common, so routine, that almost no one suspects it could be playing a direct role in raising blood sugar. A habit that begins first thing in the morning and repeats itself day after day. To understand how coffee affects your blood sugar, we need to look inside your body in a very simple way. Imagine your pancreas as a small factory. Its job is to produce insulin, the hormone that acts like a key, opening the doors of your cells so glucose can enter and be used as energy. Now imagine glucose as visitors arriving after every meal. They're waiting outside the doors of your cells, knocking, trying to get in. When everything is working well, the system is smooth. You eat, glucose rises in your bloodstream, the pancreas releases insulin, the doors open, and glucose enters the cells. Energy is produced. Your body feels balanced. But over time, especially with repeated spikes in blood sugar, this system begins to break down. The factory becomes overworked. It has to produce more and more insulin to handle the same amount of glucose. Meanwhile, the doors of your cells start to become resistant. They don't respond to insulin the way they used to. This is what we call insulin resistance, the early stage of type 2 diabetes. Now, here's where coffee enters the picture. Coffee is not just a stimulant. It's a complex drink containing hundreds of bioactive compounds. But two of them are especially important: chlorogenic acid and trigonelline. Think of these compounds as traffic controllers in your digestive system. When coffee is consumed at the right time, chlorogenic acid helps slow down the absorption of glucose from the food you eat. Instead of a sudden surge of sugar flooding your bloodstream, glucose enters gradually, like cars moving in an organized flow instead of a chaotic rush hour traffic jam. At the same time, trigonelline appears to support how your body responds to insulin, helping improve sensitivity over time. This means your pancreas doesn't have to work as hard, your cells respond better, and your blood sugar stays more stable. But, and this is the critical point, this effect is not automatic. If coffee is consumed at the wrong time or in the wrong way, it can do the exact opposite. It can increase stress hormones, raise blood sugar levels, and add more pressure to an already struggling system. So coffee itself is not the problem. The real question is, are you using it as a tool or unknowingly turning it into a trigger? Now, this is where things become uncomfortable, because the problem is not what you don't know. It's what you've been doing every single day, believing it was harmless. Let me show you the 3 most dangerous coffee mistakes I see over and over again, and why they may be silently pushing your blood sugar higher. The first mistake, and the most harmful one, is drinking coffee on an empty stomach. Right after you wake up, your body is already in a fragile state. After hours of fasting, your cortisol levels, the stress hormone, are unnaturally elevated. This is your body's way of preparing you for the day, signaling your liver to release glucose into the bloodstream for energy. Now add caffeine on top of that. Caffeine doesn't just wake you up, it amplifies cortisol. It pushes your body into a stronger stress response. Your liver reacts by releasing even more glucose, even though you haven't eaten anything yet. The result? Your blood sugar can spike by 20 to 40 milligrams, DL, before your first bite of food. And the most dangerous part, you don't feel it happening. The second mistake is adding sugar, milk, or artificial sweeteners to your coffee. It seems small, just a spoonful, just a habit. But in that moment, you are doing 2 conflicting things at once. The beneficial compounds in coffee are trying to slow down glucose absorption, while the sugar you add is flooding your bloodstream instantly. It's like trying to put out a fire while pouring gasoline on it. And artificial sweeteners? They may not raise glucose immediately, but growing evidence shows they disrupt your gut microbiota, the delicate ecosystem of bacteria that plays a critical role in how your body manages blood sugar. Over time, this disruption can make glucose control even worse. The third mistake is drinking coffee in the late afternoon or at night. Many people think, it doesn't affect me, I can still fall asleep. But sleep is not just about closing your eyes. Caffeine stays in your system for hours, keeping your body in a state of alertness. It reduces deep sleep, the phase where your body repairs itself and regulates hormones, including those involved in glucose control. Poor sleep doesn't just make you tired, it makes your blood sugar harder to control the next day, and then the cycle repeats. Now let me tell you about Mr. Arnaldo, 72 years old. He came to me frustrated. He believed he was doing everything right. He drank coffee every day. He stayed somewhat active, but his blood sugar kept rising. When I asked about his routine, the pattern became clear. Coffee first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, another cup in the afternoon with something sweet, and sometimes one more in the evening. 3 simple habits, 3 silent mistakes, and together they were enough to keep his blood sugar consistently high, without him ever suspecting that his daily coffee was part of the problem. Now here's the part I want you to really hold on to, because this is where everything begins to change. Not with medication, not with extreme diets, but with something simple, gentle, and entirely within your control. The way you drink your coffee? Because coffee is not your enemy. In the right moment, it can become a quiet ally supporting your body instead of working against it. Let's start with the first golden moment. Not the second you wake up, but times after times your body has been gently prepared. When you open your eyes in the morning, your system is still sensitive, still adjusting. So instead of reaching immediately for coffee, begin with a glass of water. Let your body rehydrate. Give it a moment to wake up naturally. Then, eat something small that contains protein eggs, yogurt, a piece of cheese, something simple, grounding. Only then, drink your coffee. This small sequence changes everything. Protein helps stabilize your system, softening the impact of caffeine on stress hormones. Instead of a sharp spike, your body experiences a smoother, calmer response. And if you want to go one step further, you can add a touch of cinnamon, a warm, comforting spice that may help your body handle glucose more gently. The second golden moment comes quietly, almost like a secret most people have never been told. About 20 to 30 minutes before your main meal, especially lunch, have a small cup of plain coffee. Not with sugar, not with snacks, just coffee. In that moment, the natural compounds in coffee begin to prepare your body. They slow down how quickly glucose enters your bloodstream from the food you're about to eat. Instead of a sudden surge, your body receives a steady flow, something your pancreas can manage without strain. It's a subtle shift, but over time, it can make a meaningful difference. And then there's the third moment, one that feels almost rewarding. After movement. After a walk, light exercise, or any activity that gets your muscles working. At this point, your muscles are like open doors, ready to absorb glucose from your blood and use it as energy. When you drink coffee during this window, it can gently enhance that effect. It supports your body in using glucose more efficiently, instead of letting it linger in your bloodstream. 3 moments. 3 small adjustments. No complicated rules. No expensive products. Just awareness. Because, in the end, it's not coffee that determines your health. It's the way you use it. And sometimes, the smallest shift in timing can lead to the biggest change in how your body feels every single day. Now, just when many people start to feel confident thinking, all right, I'll just adjust the timing of my coffee and I'll be fine, this is where a hidden layer of the problem appears. Because sometimes, it's not the coffee itself that's harming you. It's what's quietly traveling with it. These are what I call the invisible saboteurs, small additions, Perwichki so familiar, so automatic, that most people never question them. And yet, they can completely erase every benefit we've just talked about. The first and most obvious is sugar. Not just white sugar, all forms, brown sugar, raw sugar, honey, even those natural alternatives that feel healthier. The moment sweetness hits your coffee, something changes. Instead of slowing down glucose absorption, your body is suddenly flooded with it. The protective effect disappears almost instantly. It's a painful irony. You think you're doing something good by drinking coffee, but one spoonful quietly turns it into the very thing you're trying to avoid. Then come artificial sweeteners. At first glance, they seem like the perfect solution. No calories, no sugar, no spike, at least not immediately. But beneath the surface, something more subtle is happening. Emerging research shows that these sweeteners can disrupt your gut microbiota, the delicate ecosystem inside your intestines that plays a critical role in how your body processes glucose. When that balance is disturbed, your body's ability to regulate blood sugar can weaken over time. So, even without sugar, the damage may still be unfolding, slowly, invisibly. And then there's industrial instant coffee. The convenient sachets, the quick mixes, the ones that dissolve in seconds. What most people don't realize is that many of these products are no longer just coffee. They often contain hidden sugars, unhealthy fats, and chemical additives that strip away the natural benefits and replace them with something your body struggles to process. It looks like coffee, it smells like coffee, but metabolically, it behaves very differently. And finally, one of the most overlooked habits of all, what you eat with your coffee. A sweet biscuit, a slice of white bread, a soft pastry. It feels comforting, familiar, almost ritualistic. But when you combine coffee with refined carbohydrates, the glucose surge becomes so intense that no beneficial compound in coffee can compensate for it. It's simply too much, too fast. And this is the moment many people experience that quiet realization. It's not just the coffee. It's the small choices surrounding it, the ones that seemed harmless, but were never truly neutral. Now, here's something I want you to see clearly, because real, lasting change doesn't come from one single habit. It comes from how small habits, times, work together. Think of your body not as a machine with one switch, but as a system. And when it comes to controlling blood sugar, there is a simple combination I often call the protection triad. 3 elements, each powerful on its own, but together they create something much stronger. The first is coffee times, but used correctly, the way we've just discussed. When timed properly and consumed without sugar, coffee helps regulate how glucose enters your bloodstream. It reduces sudden spikes, supports insulin sensitivity, and gives your pancreas a bit of relief. Instead of constantly overworking, your body can begin to find a more natural rhythm again. But coffee alone is not enough. The second element is movement, gentle, consistent movement. You don't need intense workouts. You don't need a gym membership. Even a simple 20 to 30-minute walk, done regularly, can transform how your body handles glucose. Because when your muscles move, they act like active sponges. They pull glucose directly out of your bloodstream and use it for energy, sometimes even without needing insulin. This lowers blood sugar naturally and reduces the burden on your pancreas. It's one of the most immediate and effective tools your body has, and yet it's often overlooked because it feels too simple. And then comes the third element, protein. After the age of 60, your body becomes less efficient at maintaining muscle and regulating metabolism. Protein helps counter that. It stabilizes blood sugar after meals, reduces sudden spikes, and supports muscle mass, the very tissue that consumes the most glucose in your body. When you include protein regularly, eggs, fish, chicken, beans, yogurt, you're not just eating. You're giving your body the building blocks it needs to manage energy properly. Now here's where it all comes together. Coffee helps control how glucose enters your blood. Movement helps remove excess glucose from your blood. Protein helps prevent sudden spikes in the first place. 3 different actions, working in harmony. And when they align, something powerful happens. Your body stops fighting to keep up and starts working times with you, times again. Let me share with you a story, one that has stayed with me, not because it was dramatic, but because it was so simple and so powerful. Her name was Elena. She was 68 years old, a retired school teacher, calm, disciplined, the kind of person who always tried to follow every recommendation carefully. When she first came to see me, she had already been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes for nearly 3 years. She was doing what most people would consider everything right. She was taking her medication consistently. She had reduced sugar in her meals. She tried to be mindful of what she ate. And yet, her blood sugar remained stubbornly high. Her HbA1c stayed above 7.5%. Her fasting glucose rarely dropped below 130. And what troubled her the most wasn't just the numbers, it was the feeling that no matter how hard she tried, nothing seemed to change. So instead of adding more medication, we did something different. We looked at her daily routine, not the big things, but the small, almost invisible habits. That's when we noticed a pattern. Every morning, she drank coffee immediately after waking up, often on an empty stomach. In the afternoon, she had another cup with a small, sweet snack. And she rarely moved much during the day because she often felt tired and heavy. Nothing extreme, nothing unusual, but enough to quietly work against her body. So we made a few gentle adjustments. She began waiting about 40 minutes after waking up. She drank water first, then ate a boiled egg, and only then had her coffee plain, without sugar. Before lunch, she added a small cup of coffee about 20 minutes in advance, and 3 times a week, she started walking for 25 minutes, followed by a cup of coffee afterward. No strict diet, no intense exercise, no change in medication. Just small, intentional shifts. 6 weeks later, she came back. And I will never forget her expression. Her HbA1c had dropped from 7.5% to 6.8%. Her fasting glucose was down to 108. But more than that, she told me, "Doctor, I feel awake again, like my body is finally responding." That's the moment it becomes real. Not complicated changes, not extreme solutions. Just the right habits, in the right way, at the right time. Before we finish, I want to leave you with something deeper than just information. Something you can carry with you after this video ends. Because when it comes to your health, especially your blood sugar, it's easy to feel like your body is working against you. Like no matter what you do, things slowly get worse. The numbers go up. The energy goes down. And over time, it starts to feel inevitable. But here's the truth I've learned after years of working with patients just like you. Your body is not your enemy. It is constantly trying to protect you, to adapt, to restore balance, even when things seem out of control. When your blood sugar rises, when you feel that deep fatigue after meals, when your sleep becomes lighter and less refreshing, these are not random problems. They are signals. They are your body's way of asking for help. And sometimes, that help doesn't come from something complex or expensive. It doesn't always come from a new medication or a strict, overwhelming plan. Sometimes, it begins with a small change. A different choice in the morning. A pause before your first cup of coffee. A short walk in the afternoon. A simple adjustment that, on its own, may not seem like much, but repeated day after day, becomes something powerful. Because health is not built in a single moment. It is shaped quietly, through the habits you repeat every day. And the most important part is this: you don't have to change everything at once. You just have to start. Maybe tomorrow morning, instead of reaching for coffee immediately, you begin with a glass of water. Maybe you wait a little, eat something nourishing, and then enjoy your coffee differently. Maybe you take that short walk you've been postponing. These are not sacrifices. They are investments in your future self. Now, let me ask you something important. Is there someone in your life, a parent, a sibling, a close friend, who struggles with high blood sugar or diabetes? Someone who follows their routine every day but still doesn't see improvement? Share this with them. Because the right information at the right time can change the direction of someone's health in ways you might not even realize. And if this has helped you see your daily habits in a new light, stay with me. In the next video, I'm going to show you 5 common foods that quietly raise blood sugar levels. Foods that many people eat every day, believing they are safe. Until then, take care of yourself. And remember, your future health is being shaped by the small choices you make today. So choose wisely. And start with one simple change.